Hello, I'm Tom Worth. Welcome back to the channel. And today I wanted to talk about the seditious acts punishable by death, according to Donald Trump yesterday. This was notable, obviously. One of the things that made it notable in my mind was when they asked Mike Johnson about it. If you've ever seen any of the montages of Mike Johnson doesn't know, it's just whenever Trump says just something insane or ridiculous or worthy of him immediately having impeachment articles drawn up against him right there on the spot, like yesterday's Truth Social comments did, calling for the execution, the hanging of American members of Congress because they said something he didn't like. Something that needed to be said, by the way. We'll get into that in a minute. Usually Mike Johnson says, I don't know. I haven't heard that. I'm not familiar with it. This is the first I'm hearing of this. I can't really comment on that. I'm not sure what you're talking about. I have to look into that. He didn't say that this time. He said, well, those were not the words that I would use. So he did acknowledge it. But then, of course, he goes on, as did Lindsey Graham, to then shift the blame to the members of Congress. There were 6 Democratic members of Congress who all had prior experience either in the U.S. Military or intelligence community. And they rightfully pointed out to American service members that not only they could refuse to disobey illegal orders, but they were required to do so. There is an oath to uphold the Constitution for U.S. service members. In addition, I'm reading this from an article about these international relations experts in this Colorado News article. In addition, under Article 92 of the Uniform Code of Military Justice in the U.S. Manual for Courts Martial, service members must obey lawful orders and disobey unlawful orders. Unlawful orders are those that clearly violate the U.S. Constitution, international human rights standards, or the Geneva Conventions. And it's important to point out all 3 of those under Article 92 because in surveys undertaken with U.S. service members back in June by these researchers, this is long before any of this happened, several of the service members commented in their own written comments that they were aware of these regulations and that they would not be obeying orders that violated international standards and international laws. And they distinguish between that and the Constitution because they see an outcome where Trump will just have the laws of the United States changed to make these previously illegal things legal. It hasn't happened yet, but Trump, this stems largely from the extrajudicial killings of the boats by U.S. armed forces. No trial, no anything. Drug runners off of the coasts of Central and South America, in the Caribbean and in the Pacific. And they continue to rack up. I did a video on this, probably a couple weeks ago. And it was, the numbers have only gone up. The killings have continued. And there's more of an outcry about this now. And service members have reached out, some of them confidentially, to say, I think this is problematic because we are just blowing up these boats and these people. Some of them have been fishing boats, it was later determined, or fishermen on these fishing boats, and they don't feel right about it. And they are worried that they can be prosecuted, that they can be court-martialed. Don't forget to subscribe if you like this video. I'm continuing to put them out every day, and I hope you all enjoy what you're seeing here. Because in that, it comes up that you will be held responsible for crimes against humanity, and saying that you were merely following orders was not an excuse then, it is certainly no defense now. you are obligated as a U.S. service member to disobey unlawful orders. And these 6 Democratic Congresspeople, merely for reminding service members of that duty, under these circumstances, sure, but that's all they said. They stated the fact that service members have to disobey unlawful orders. For that, Donald Trump put out there that these were seditious actions and they are punishable by death. They should be hung. Like in what world do we not have a president make those comments and then the articles of impeachment just immediately be drawn up? This is something that's very important to get the House back next year, a little under a year from now. Of course, it will never happen with Republicans in control of both chambers. And even if the House was controlled by Democrats, the Senate's never going to vote to convict him as long as Republicans control the Senate. And they likely will. It might get interesting here over the next year. But as of now, it looks likely they will keep control of the Senate a year from now. But these are the ravings of a lunatic, a guy who has never followed the law in any aspect of his personal life, of his business life, of his political life, never followed the law. And he is just infuriated by people who try to hold other people to account and try to remind other people that they too have to follow the law. Trump promised to pardon all of the January 6th insurrectionists, and people know he follows through on those kinds of promises. I don't know that he could preemptively pardon military members for court-martials. I'm not an expert in military law. I wouldn't think he could, but anything's possible, I guess. He could just blanket say, how would that go over in the international tribunals, that a leader of a country preemptively told all of his armed forces that they weren't subject to the rules of human rights and Geneva Conventions. How would that even work? But that's the kind of thing Trump would try to do, and he would think he would get away with it. He did walk back the comments somewhat today, but he said them. He put them out there, endangering everyone's lives, putting more. Something that came up in the research by these researchers back in the June surveys is that just the question itself stresses out our troops and adds to their worries, their ability to do their jobs. They're not sure, what the orders are going to be, if they're lawful or not. They're not legal experts. Many of them thought that they could tell the difference between an illegal order and a legal order, just based on morals and human decency, that kind of thing. But they're not legally trained to know that if their ship captain tells them to launch missiles, or if they're a pilot in an attack helicopter to blow up this fishing boat below on a direct order, who are they to obey, right? That's the problem here. This is the kind of thing where, okay, sure, this used to come up. It's always come up. It's come up in the 60s and the 70s. It certainly came up with Dick Cheney, with torturing. But once these kinds of things come to light, the American public would go crazy. And that's not what's happening now. Half of the American public, or really 2/3 of the American public now, with Trump being so far underwater with his disapproval ratings, 2/3 of us are going crazy. But a lot of them aren't, and half of Congress isn't going crazy over this. So kind of disturbing, but that's where we're at today. It's always tying in. It's tying into these illegal drug boat attacks. It's tying into the Nuremberg movie. It's all relevant all the time. We've dealt with these issues before. We know what to do. We know how to do it, and yet Trump and his enablers just act as if I don't know. They're getting away with it. They're continually getting away with it. And that's where we're at today. That's all for now. And keep commenting, keep watching. I love it. And we'll talk later.